Well, hey, good morning here on this June 30th. Hard to believe the month of June is behind us. But yes, the 2026 Channel CropCast here. I am Tyler Brugdenhill, technical agronomist here in South Central Nebraska. And a very, very happy birthday to America, 250 years of freedom. Um, so have fun celebrating this weekend. Please come back with all your fingers and toes. So be safe in all of your celebrations coming up here. But for the main point, let's get to it here in crop growth and development. So as we look, I picked my community of the week in my territory. So this week it's going to be Minden, Nebraska. Looking at about 25 growing degree days ahead of where we would expect that normal curve to be. So really right on track. Minden has been one of those kind of communities that I've watched, and you can see the photo image is really pretty small here, but it's basically been right on track or slightly above there for the entire growing season. Now, if we look in the 10th of April from the 10th of April rather for the greater Midwest in terms of total precipitation ranks, South Central Nebraska is still looking at about the 71st wettest year out of 134. So pretty darn average compared to where we started the year. That seems like a long time ago, but April really was only a couple months ago. So a lot can change in a short amount of time. But that being said, we had a very mild week for crop growth and development last week. Mild does not favor into the equation this week. So basically in the 90s for most of it. So we're going to use a lot of water. And we've got a few rain chances. Actually, had a quick pop up shower in Kearney last night that was very random. But again, a lot of heat units that are going to get cranked out this week, and some pivots definitely getting turned back on as we go through my territory. So what does it mean in corn growth and development? What is this going to mean? So obviously hitting that grand growth stage, basically right in the middle of it. I'd say most of the stuff that I'm looking at from a commercial basis, we're 10 to 14 days from tassel. Some even sooner than that. But this is when that corn plant is going through that rapid growth or that rapid growth base. So still being able to influence number of kernels. So we're really setting that ear length and how many kernels long that ear is going to be able to produce for us. From there on, it's about, hey, how many can we pollinate, and then how large can we get those kernels? So it's all about size and dimension from that. Really, we're using a lot of groceries here. I know we talk about this demand curve in terms of nutrition every week. We're utilizing a lot of groceries, most of any phase of the corn plant in terms of the number of leaves we're outputting, but also the number of nutritional pieces that we're needing to put together for this corn plant to be successful. And of course, on top of that, what else do we have to deal with? It's not just moisture. It's not just making sure we've got enough precipitation in the ground or oxygen to the roots to make sure we're getting the amount of groceries we need. We also get to deal with disease too, right? So I've put up the current map for tar spot here. We know this is here. We know it's here to stay. It overwinters very, very well, especially when we give it 2 years with you know less than normal snowpack and not breaking down a lot of our residues as much as we typically see in the state of Nebraska. But that's going to be one of these diseases that we're going to have to manage on a lot of different tiers, picking a product that's going to have some innate tolerance to it right at planting to kind of start outright, but then also, making sure that we're selecting the right fungicide package to make sure we stave off any infection from happening. Now, in my discussions this week with a lot of growers, there's still a lot of discussion being made around southern rust. With what we went through the past 2 years, specifically in south central Nebraska, completely understand why that would be. The reality is they just found southern rust this past week in Texas, and most of that being in deep south Texas. So there are 4 confirmed counties. I would also tell you last year, I think the earliest that I could find on the map that tar spot was found and identified in the state of Nebraska was right around the 15th of July, give or take a couple days for my math there. But it was right around the middle of July. So again, I guess my 2 cents on this is make sure we're thinking about the disease that is here that we're likely for sure going to have in 2 weeks. Southern rust, could it get here? Without a doubt. It can move fast. It's very advantageous. The one thing is it still cannot overwinter here. So that's the really nice part about this. So um, utilizing a product like Delaro Complete, two modes of action specifically against tar spot and two modes of action against rust for a broad spectrum, it does a really, really nice job overall. Now, when we move to the soybean world, a lot of flowering happening, obviously, with uh, the summer solstice happening, triggers flowering in soybeans. So, what is the big deal going on right now? It's all about flower preservation. How can we keep flowers at every one of those nodes and the maximum amount of flowers that we possibly can, so we can turn them into pods, so we can make more beans? Really simple equation. It's a tough process to do. We still have a few guys that likely are going to do some post herbicide applications here. We might even need a rescue application or two on some of those borders where we're starting to see a lot of creeping in with the rain events from last week. That's going to make a lot of those weed species more advantageous, and you're going to see a lot more breakage. So, my 2 cents on the weed front is, be diligent, keep scouting, make sure we stay ahead of things, but always make sure if we need that second pass, discuss that with your agronomist. Let's make sure we're not asking this plant to metabolize too much and giving away any flowers or any more potential pods than we have to. So, as always, make every acre count. Be safe this weekend, and happy 250th America. Thanks, and have a great week.